Welcome everyone to Playwrights Guild of Canada's 2020 Tom Hendry Awards. I'm so pleased to be a part of this year's awards, which is much different than we've ever done it before. But that's because of the situation we currently find ourselves in. But we're a resilient organization and look at it as though now we have more of an opportunity to engage all of our members across the country. So we hope that you're joining us from coast to coast to coast. My name's Robin Sokolowski, and I'm the Executive Director of the Playwrights Guild of Canada. I'm currently in PGC's office, which is in Toronto, which resides on the traditional lands of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Métis, the Anishinaabeg, including the Mississaugas of Credit Nation. PGC recognizes and respects all recorded and unrecorded nations who care for this land of Toronto, meaning where the trees are standing in water. PGC is grateful for the opportunity to protect and care for the stories of this community, which is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. Thank you everyone for joining us for our very special annual event and throughout the week.
To become a playwright. The Hamburg State Opera visited Dublin annually when I was a teenager. Figaro, Figaro, Figaro. Yeats was on at the Abbey and Oscar Wilde plays at the Gate Theatre. A mad interest in acting, which I couldn't indulge because I had to earn my living, but acting teaches you a lot about playwriting. I already knew I could write because from the age of 6 I was sending letters home from boarding school where I had to embellish the fact. And from the age of 25, I was writing from Canada, where I had to condense the facts. Fast forward to 1981, when I was taping talking books for the blind, I decided I wanted to compose my own stories. So I settled down and I took a degree, an MFA in writing from the University in North Carolina. And from then on, I could write my own stories in my own way and come to my own conclusions. I had to find out what I was capable of, and I was learning.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Adam, and I'm a member of the Playwrights Guild of Canada. I am here to talk about how I first became a playwright. It actually started in the ice storm of 2013. I had just moved back to Canada from a long time living in countries with a much milder climate, and I was plunged into the ice storm. Our power went out. I was freezing cold. I had no skills that were useful. I couldn't chop wood. I couldn't make anything. I couldn't get my own food. And I suddenly thought, what is this country? And who would move here? Who would choose to come here if they had a choice and live like this? And what must that have been like for the early settler population? And that's what got me thinking and writing my first play about les filles du roi arriving in New France in the 17th century, called Deceitful Above All Things, which ended up premiering at Summer Works in 2015. So that's how it all started, thanks to the ice storm and my inability to chop wood.
Hi, I'm Meg Brame, and I'm just here to talk about why I became a playwright. I became a playwright because I started out as an actor and I wanted to explore the stories that I was taking part of. Why I write is I used to be really confused about this and I never wanted to tell people I was a playwright. But then I realized that being a playwright was about trying to make sense in the world, or trying to figure out the world, or try to come to terms with it and explore it. So that's why I write. And inspiring pieces of theater that I've seen that inspire me to write, there's so many, and there's so many great playwrights. But the first one that comes to mind was a production of The Color Purple I saw last year at the Citadel, and I absolutely loved it. And the actors were great, and the singing was great, and the writing was great, and it was wonderful. Thank you.
I guess I love the music of words. And every now and then I want to sing in that way. And there's so many writers whose music inspire constantly.
One piece of advice I would give my emerging self as a playwright: never stop writing. Although I cannot imagine how a writer could stop, and never stop seeking a person or place that likes your work, because theater is a communal art.
Hi, I'm Beverly Cooper, the Canadian coordinator of the CASA Award. The CASA Award evolved after a group of Canadian playwrights traveled to Cape Town for a Women's Playwright International Conference in 2015. There we were struck by how few African women playwrights were represented. However, the South African theatre makers who did attend were extraordinary, with unique and important stories to tell. This award promotes the idea that theatre is an imperative and vital voice advocating for change as it responds to and reflects the world we live in. The CASA Award is a $5,000 cash prize that is presented to a South African playwright who has a demonstrated commitment to playwriting. We invite all women and people of marginalized genders to apply. The funds are expected to support the playwright while they write for a period of 3 months on a specific project, one that speaks to today's South Africa. In addition, the winner is partnered with 2 senior mentors, a Canadian dramaturge and a South African director, and receives a small collection of Canadian plays generously donated by Playwrights Canada Press and Scirocco Drama. The award is a partnership between PGC and the African Women's Playwright Network. Our South African coordinator is Amy Jefta, and our South African partnering organizations are Theatre Arts in Cape Town and the Outreach Foundation Performing Arts Project in Johannesburg. A few brief thanks to our amazing outgoing leader, Robin, for being on board for this initiative from the get-go, and to the extraordinary Rebecca for her ongoing support. Thanks also to Deborah Drakeford and Arc Theatre for producing an amazing fundraiser that we held just before COVID shut down the world. To give a brief example of the impact of the CASA Award, in 2017, one of our winners was Kaleka Patuma. The funds bought Kaleka time to work on her play No Easter Sunday for Queers. We found her a writing space at the Outreach Foundation in Johannesburg, and she worked there via Skype with her Canadian dramaturge, Diane Flax, and in person with South African director, Mwenya Kabwe. Last year, No Easter Sunday for Queers had a celebrated production at the prestigious Market Theatre in Johannesburg, directed by her CASA mentor, Mwenya. Now, I'm going to pass you on to the fabulous playwright and my friend, Sally Stubbs, who chaired this year's CASA jury.
This year's jury was made up of South African theatre makers Leah Ketso Mahoto and Janice Honeyman, along with Canadian playwright Marcia Johnson. The final meeting was held over Zoom, bridging our 2 continents, on September the 28th. We were thrilled with the quality of this year's applications. The deliberations were thoughtful, intense, and passionate. The jury wanted to impress that several playwrights deserve special recognition for their excellent applications, particularly the following finalists who had applications that were very highly regarded: Napo Mashian, Campbell Jessica Miaz, and Wabisa Plachi. We also want to note the honorable mentions of both Daisy Damaps Mapate and Sanelisiwe Yukane. They had very thoughtfully considered applications. The winner of this year's CASA Award will join our past winners, Rahani Abrahams, Kela Maswabi, Koleka Putuma, Tamara Gur-Schultz, and Feliciwe Twensta. And to announce the winner, I will hand this over to the multi-talented and very lovely Marcia Johnson. Thanks.
And the 2020 CASA Award goes to Jenna Gardini. Jenna Gardini is a writer, theatre maker, and educator. The South African playwright has an M.A. in theatre making from the University of Cape Town and is currently a PhD candidate at Queen Mary University in London. In 2013, she was named one of the top 200 young South Africans by the Mail and Guardian. Jenna co-founded the queer theatre company Horses Heads Productions with Gary Hartley. Her plays Winter Suite from 2012 and Scrape from 2013 won Standard Bank Ovation Awards. Jenna's poetry collection, Matrix Ridge, received a commendation for the Ingrid Jonker Prize. She was a 2016 National Fellow at the Institute for Creative Arts, working on a project about multiple sclerosis and creative writing. The jury found Jenna to be a writer with a strong and intelligent voice, the ability to create multifaceted and intriguing characters and situations, and to bring humor as well as poignancy to an intense and personal drama. Jenna's play, Many Scars, is a fantastical, semi-autobiographical play about multiple sclerosis, MS, an autoimmune disorder at the central nervous system that disrupts the relationship between the body and the brain. This sophisticated and brave piece is well underway. It will be thrilling to see Jenna complete it with the help of the CASA mentorship. Because of the generous donation of 2 anonymous benefactors, the CASA Award is funded for 2 more years.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Jo Burke, the chair of the Women's Caucus of the Playwrights Guild of Canada, and I'm speaking to you from Treaty 4 land, the territories of the Cree and the Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota, and the homeland of the Métis-Michif Nation. And it is my pleasure to introduce the awarding of the Bras d'Or. Who doesn't love a good bras? The support, the understanding, the clear intention to hold up something of value. And when I say bras, I obviously mean arm, en français parce que je veux être fancy. Bras d'Or, the golden arm that holds and helps an artist in their journey to express their full potential. Inaugurated in 2006, the Bras d'Or is given to an individual who supports and promotes the work of Canadian women playwrights. Repeated studies indicate that women are underrepresented, both on our stages and in the sorts of positions that can support and produce theatrical work. Although women comprise more than half of PGC's membership, on average, less than 30% of the plays produced on our nation's stages are written by women. And for Indigenous women, women of color, trans and gender non-conforming people, the numbers are significantly lower. The purpose of the award then is to honor people who lead the way, by example and by working to make things more equitable. Past winners include Brian Court, Hope McIntyre, Katrina Dunn, Eric Coates, Andy McKim, Philip Aiken, Rachel Dieter, Robert Metcalf, Mary Vingo, Rebecca Burton, Diane Brown, and Pam Halstead. And we are about to add another wonderful person's name to that list. To introduce the 2020 Bras d'Or winner, I would like to hand this off to actor and playwright Julie Fan.
When we first met, I was a panicking 17-year-old who was in way over my head, trying to mount a show at the Fringe. I'm here now before her as a less panicky 19-year-old presenting this award. What she did that day, sitting down with me, calmly helping put the pieces of my show together, gradually helped restore the confidence I had in myself. It is on brand with everything she's known for and embodies what I think the Bras d'Or Award represents. Things that come up in every conversation about her is always her kindness, her generosity, the positive impact that she has on the people around her, her commitment to uplift voices of people with lived female experiences that stand out in her roles as a writer, a director, an actor, an educator, and an artistic leader, and the ways that she invests in others through mentorship, artist incubation and development, and broad community access to the arts. All have benefited from her advocacy for inclusivity in the theater for artists and audiences, especially for those whose experiences lie at the intersection of race and womanhood. As evidenced by her time as the artistic director of Cahoots, She's programmed and been involved in such works written by amazing women of color, including Jenny Lazan's I Call Myself Princess, Amanda Paris's Other Side of the Game, and Sue Vendrini Lina's The Enchanted Loom. As her platform grows, so do the opportunities she provides to break down barriers that have historically prevented marginalized artists from having a seat at the table. The launch of the Meet Marjorie program invites emerging artists to bring themselves into her field of view and introduce themselves directly to her. I can't wait to see what Marcia will achieve in her capacity as artistic director of TPM and as a lifelong mentor for so many diverse artists in Toronto's community. By now you've likely guessed it, and I have nothing but love and appreciation for the winner of this year's Broad Door Award, Marjorie Chan.
Hi there, I'm Marjorie Chan. I'm coming to you from my living room, from the lands of Takaranto, as known by the Mohawk, and we know it as Toronto, its colonial name. These are the original lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the current caretakers of this land. I'm very pleased and grateful to be able to live and love and to make art here. Myself, I'm of a Chinese background called Han Chinese, and in particular, this particular ethnicity is one that if you're meeting any diasporic Chinese outside the land that we call China, they're likely to be Han. And that's because that particular ethnic group has been dominating those lands for millennia. And they do so by subjugating the indigenous groups that are on that land. And that's an oppression that continues to this day. So I do also want to acknowledge and stand in solidarity with the Tibetan and the Uyghur peoples in their struggle. First, I'm extremely humbled and honored to receive the Broad Door Award from the Playwrights Guild of Canada. It's a humbling feeling to be recognized for work that you not just consider part of your job, but also part of my values and the way that I want to move in the world. So it's kind of strange to be acknowledged for that. Also it's a completely weird situation and time that we're in. It's completely surreal feeling to kind of feel accolades when there's so much struggle happening. We're in the middle of an ongoing pandemic. We're in the middle of a social revolution, and we're perhaps in the middle of a real existential crisis for theater. This is one of the biggest challenges that theater has ever faced. So for me, I think about how do we stay grounded? How do we stay the course? How do we really understand what it is that we do and how we move forward? For me, I think you have to make those choices. You have to choose, and you have to look for inspiration. In some ways, I want to speak to my nominator, Julie Fan. I'm so grateful for her passion and her perspective and her artistry. And in many ways, I feel that I was lucky to have been made her mentor. I've learned and gained so much from her, and not just from her, but from every mentoree that I've worked with. To me, I fundamentally feel and understand that when you make more space to involve another person, you're actually expanding your world. You're expanding it by leaps and bounds by creating that space. So I want to thank the Playwrights Guild of Canada for acknowledging how critical the creation of that space is, and that the expansion that is possible, and in a way, the expansion that is still needed, needs further expansion. So in that vein, I also want to extend gratitude to all the other nominees, to Avery Jean Brennan, to Claire Flanagan, to Heather Inglis, to Thomas Morgan Jones, to Anna Pappas, to Carol Russell King, to Bronwyn Steinberg, and the Wet Ink Collective, Susan McFarlane, Loretta Cito, and Lynna Goldhar Smith. I have to admit to not having read the list of nominees and the nominating statements before I learned that I received this award. but I have to say, when I did read it and read these names and read the impact statements from the nominators and the list of things, the list of kind of passionate advocacy and activities from these individuals, I was just truly blown away. I was so moved and inspired by your work and your dedication. If we haven't met, I hope that one day we can connect. And for those that I have met, that we're friends, I look forward to meeting you again. This journey we're on in support of women's voices, we're in the midst of it, and there's still so much road to go, and it's still such a hard road, I think. So it is wonderful to be inspired and find such compatriots on that trail on this journey. It's 2020, which has been a lot, admittedly. But it's 2020, and in some ways, you think an award named after a golden bra in all its cheekiness, kind of might come from a different age, from, a long time ago. But we might think we're more enlightened. We might think that, but in truth, the immense wage gap between men and women, that still exists. The disproportionate amount of violence committed by men on their female partners, that still exists. And powerful professional women being spoken over in conversation or in debate or in board meetings still exists. And I think, for everyone, if you don't agree with a world that's shaped by toxic masculinity and a world shaped by misogyny, then you can't possibly agree with a theatrical landscape shaped by those things either. And so I guess the question is, so what do you do? What are you going to do about it? I don't know. Other than to continue doing what I'm doing, other than to continue to support others who trying to support women's voices, other than to try to continue to amplify the work of women. I think that's the choice. I think that's the choice before us. And I hope that you can join on this journey. So thank you.